If you're stressed out or struggling with an upcoming written case interview, follow this step-by-step guide to nail your written case interview and land that coveted consulting offer. I'm a former Bain manager and interviewer, and in this short and sweet guide to consulting written case interviews, we'll cover what is a written case interview, the 8 steps to solve any written case interview, and 5 tips to separate yourself from other candidates. So, what is a written case interview? Consulting written case interviews are a special variant of the traditional case interview. Like a case interview, you'll still be placed in a hypothetical business situation and asked to develop a recommendation or answer to a business problem. However, for written case interviews, you'll be solving the case by working independently rather than collaborating with the interviewer. In the beginning of the consulting written case interview, the interviewer will give you a packet of 20 to 40 pages of graphs and charts, tables, notes, and other text. You'll have anywhere from a few hours to a few days to analyze the information in the packet and make 5 to 10 slides to present your analysis and recommendation. You may be asked to present your slides in front of your interviewer. They will likely ask follow-up questions on your work and findings. So, how do you solve a written case interview? To solve written case interviews, follow these 8 steps. Step 1. Understand the objective. The first step in completing a written case interview is to understand what the objective is. What is the primary business question you are trying to answer with the data and information provided? Step 2. Skim the materials. The next step is to flip through the information packet that is provided to see what information is available. Identify what data you have and what data you do not have. Step 3. Create a framework. Before you begin reading and analyzing the information in the slides in more detail, you should create a basic framework to help guide your analysis. Select 3 to 4 broad areas that you think are the most important things to analyze. In other words, what are the 3 to 4 things you need to know to answer the primary question of the written case interview? Before we move on to the next step, please take a second to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our free consulting interview content. You'll also get some good luck and karma by helping support a small YouTube channel. Step 4. Read and analyze the material. The framework you created tells you what questions you need to answer. All that is left to do is to read and analyze the information that is relevant to each area of your framework. As you answer the major questions in your framework, make sure to write a 1 or 2 sentence summary of the key takeaway or answer. This will help you remember the work that you have done and make it easier to decide on a recommendation. Step 5. Decide on a recommendation. Once you have finished reading and analyzing all of the important and relevant material, you should have a list of key takeaways or answers to the major areas of your framework. In this step, you'll read through the key takeaways and decide on what recommendation they collectively support. Step 6. Structure your presentation slides. When you have decided on a recommendation and have the supporting data and evidence for it, you'll want to create a structure for your presentation slides. A simple but effective structure you can use is Slide 1. Present your recommendation and the 3 reasons that support it. Slide 2. Present your first reason and the data that supports it. Slide 3. Present your second reason and the data that supports it. Slide 4. Present your third reason and the data that supports it. And Slide 5. Summarize everything that you've covered so far. And finally, Slide 6. Present potential next steps. Step 7. Fill in your slides. Once you have the structure of your presentation slides, the next step is to fill in the slides with content. Step 8. Review your slides and prepare for questions. If you have time remaining, review your slides one more time to check for any mistakes or errors. You can also spend some time cleaning up the slides to make them look neat and polished. Afterwards, you can brainstorm potential questions the interviewer may ask you during your presentation. They may want to know how you performed your analysis or reached your conclusions. They may also challenge your assumptions or interpretations of the data. 5 tips to separate yourself from other candidates. Now that you know the 8 steps to solve any written case interview, how can you make sure that you stand out from other candidates? Follow these 5 critical tips below to significantly improve your written case interview performance. Tip number 1. Answer the most important questions first. For consulting written case interviews, you will not have enough time to answer every single question and perform every type of analysis. So focus on answering the most important questions first. These questions have the greatest impact on shaping your recommendation. Tip number 2. Slide titles are important. The slide title is the most important aspect of the slide. A slide title should communicate the key message of the slide. If the interviewer were to only read the title of a slide, they should know what content the slide is going to show. Additionally, the titles of your slides should collectively read like a story. If the interviewer were to only read the slide titles in your presentation, they should know your entire presentation. Tip number 3, each slide should only have one message. Avoid having too many charts, graphs, or tables on one slide. This makes the slide dense and difficult to digest. You'll also likely confuse the interviewer by having too many different messages. The most effective slides have one key message each. If you have too much content on one slide, you either have redundant information or too many messages. If you have redundant information, delete everything that does not add significant incremental value. If you have too many messages, separate the slide into multiple slides. Tip number 4, include next steps. Having a slide with a few bullet points outlining potential next steps you would take if you had more time is an easy way to stand out from other candidates. Including next steps demonstrates initiative and ownership. You can generate ideas for next steps by asking yourself the following questions. What other open questions do you have? What else would you need to know to feel more confident in your answer or recommendation? And what could you do to find answers to these questions? Tip number 5, start your presentation with an executive summary. Your presentation slides should start with an executive summary that includes your recommendation. You should aim to do this because this is how consultants give their actual presentations to their clients. Executives often don't have much time, so consulting presentations typically start with the recommendation and then provide the evidence and data that supports it. The more you act like a consultant, the better you demonstrate the skills and qualities that interviewers are looking for. You now have everything you need to know to nail your written case interview. In addition to written case interviews, you should also be preparing for traditional case interviews and consulting behavioral and fit interviews. You will need to nail these interview questions in order to land that dream consulting offer. If you're struggling with case interviews, check out our comprehensive case interview course. Whether you have no business background, rusty math skills, or are short on time, this step-by-step course will transform you into a top 1% caser that lands multiple consulting offers. You can also check out our consulting behavioral interview course, where we'll teach you exactly how to answer over 98% of consulting behavioral and fit interview questions in just a few hours. The links to both of these resources, as well as other recommended resources, are listed in the video description below. Good luck!